Hello and welcome to Beyond the Mist, the game mastering podcast about the Mistworld podcast. My name is Dan, I am the storyteller, and this is regarding episode 7. Now in this episode, I previously left my players to make some decisions about this town they were going to visit, Horniscali, and I thought I was going to get something like, a fun little cafe that's a favourite of Neely's, or something little and small detail like that. Instead, I've been given a goat festival. So what I decided to do is I'm just going to go all in on that, and one of the ideas they mentioned up was the idea of a gladiator fight, but I didn't really know a way to build that in, so instead I'm going to give them a goat race, and I'm going to try and find a way to have all 4 players work on being part of the goat race, so it's not just one player kind of stuck to the side, like what seems to keep on happening with this particular group. So this is how I'm going to come up with those rules. Now, as I've mentioned before, I am a mass stealer, and rather than just going from scratch, I'm going to take something from one of my normal, everyday systems, which is called Savage Worlds, and I am going to turn that into simplify it into a tiny D6 rule set. So if you're not familiar with it, the way it works is it's a playing card system, so you roll dice when you take actions, but when it comes to initiative and stuff like that, you effectively pull cards from a kit, and those playing cards, as you draw them, they might have an effect on your character as it's racing around. So rather than taking the cards, I'm just going to take a D4 mechanic. To provide more information about how the Savage World system works, so you draw playing cards. If you get a clubs, then there'll be a penalty to your ship, or to your whatever it is you're racing, your goat in this case. So it's going to take that into a D4 system. So what will happen is I'll divide the race into 6 segments with 3 laps, so a total of 18 segments each. And on each one of those segments, for the players, I'm going to roll 1d4. If I get between a 2 and a 4, nothing's going to happen. It's straight sailing ahead. They just need to make a normal roll to continue progressing. If they get a 1, then there's some kind of complication on the track. So there's something that they'll need to avoid, or come up with some way of describing how it's not going to avoid them. The size of the penalty will be determined by a second D4 roll. So I've rolled 1, I've gotten a 1 on the D4, I'm now rolling a second D4. The number on that dice, between a 1 and a 3, will be a penalty applied to that, to the oncoming roll. So if you roll a D4 and you get say a 2, then that means that what would normally be a 2d6 roll will become a 0d6 roll. This will make sense in a moment. At this point, we will have Lockie and Mr. Whitbear in the race. So Mr. Whitbear will be riding shotgun. He'll have a gun that he'll be able to use in some way during the race. Lockie will be the pilot, or Henry Goodbarrow will be the pilot. Astrakhan and Neely will be off track. Astrakhan will be effectively providing gizmos that they can use to negate some of these penalties. So in the case before, when they had 2d6, rolled a 2 on the second d4, and now they have 0d6, Astrakhan might say, oh, well, this gizmo is going to help it out, sort of go from being 0d6 to 1d6. Neely, with her social trait, and as a racer as well, will be able to give advice. So those 2 characters can choose how they're going to help out. They'll only be able to do this once every lap, though, so they'll only be able to do it 3 times during the game each. Now, if they happen to get a 4 on the second D4, so they roll a 1, get some kind of penalty, but get a 4 on the second dice, whatever obstacles on the racetrack is actually going to help them. So rather than simply rolling 2d6, they'll roll 3d6. So there's potential, sometimes something goes crashing past you and it takes out the person next to you instead of you. That kind of scenario. So it allows for a potential boost, but the majority of the time it'll be some form of penalty. Now, if we reach a situation where the racers have effectively no dice to roll. So in that case, if they roll the 4, gotten at 1, so there's some kind of obstacle, they roll the d4 again, they've gotten 3, so effectively 1 from 2d6, take away 3, so 0 or under. What I've decided is that that's going to result in a standard 2d6 roll, but if they fail, they're out of the race. Whatever obstacle it is has taken them out. So it just means that way there's a small chance for things to go wrong, but they could go very badly wrong. So we'll see how it goes with them. In terms of the other races, I'm not going to bother with that because it's too much rolling. The whole point of the system is to keep it simple. So effectively, just for the other characters, I'm just going to roll 2d6 every roll, and we'll see how they go. And if it turns out that that's a bit boring, maybe I will introduce some issues to them. But effectively, they'll be reacting to any obstacles that the players will be rolling. It's just the players that will be creating them as they go. So that's my idea for goat racing. So I feel like it sounds more complicated than it will be. When I've played this using Savage Worlds, using the playing card system, it actually works really well. I've tried to keep it in the spirit of a 2d6 by simplifying it with just dice rolls. We'll see how we go. Now, once they have this, my plan is for effectively this episode to be the calm before the storm. Once this session ends, they're only 2 episodes away from the finale. So my plan is once the goat race is over, and as a reminder, their goat might be eaten if they don't win, they will then need to outfit both their ships for the dragon fight. Now, at this point, Shining Beetle, as it stands, is pretty well kitted out, but if they want to make changes to the weaponry or to the armor or what have you, then they're very welcome to do so. But they'll also have to design the defenses for the Hope and Grace, taking on the roles of the commanding crew, again, like they have in the past. We'll see how they go for that. I've got suggestions that I'm willing to offer the guys, but also I feel like they've gotten to know the system well enough by now that they can pick through, make some changes, and we'll see how they go. And then, because I can be evil, I'm then going to design the dragon as a way to thwart those defenses. Because what's the point in being an evil mastermind if I do all that stuff beforehand? And that's about it. So that's the only plans I have at the moment. In terms of the epilogue, what will happen afterwards. So I'm just going to describe that the dragon cultist high priestess that they supposedly killed last time will survive, and we'll be waiting for them when they face off against them at the start of the next session. I just found out Neely and I are both fans of the Welcome to Night Vale podcast, so I'll be throwing in a reference to that there, and I'll see if she gets the joke or not. We'll see how we go. If anyone else are fans of that other fantastic podcast and recognize it, please let me know. And that's about it. That's where I am at the moment. I hope you guys have a good week, and we'll talk soon.